Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss about Amarnath, Lord Amarnath Yatra, the place in Jammu and Kashmir, visited by thousands and thousands of people during summer. Now, in this particular picture, you can see symbol of water on top, then shivling of Amarnath, and right at the bottom of that is 22 by 21 to the power of 10. These three things which I'll be discussing in detail, what exactly I have learnt about divine mathematics from what I have seen in Amarnath and what I've learnt thereafter, right up to coming back to Chennai once again. This was something which I've learnt right up to 2002 when I booked Akhand, and I had mentioned about 22 by 21 the power of 10. Beyond that is not known. But right up to this, let me explain what it is. But at the bottom of Amarnath, I've written the immortal creation and growth. That means it is something immortal, Amrit, by and large. But there are two stages. The first stage of creation, which is 22 by 21, and the growth of 10 stages development. That is what it means. Up to this and extent, I would understand from this particular picture. But 0.34419 done later, that will be explained as I move on to the next stage. Now coming to my usual question, which I last started in the last 2-3 videos. Is there any mystery in the world? And I'm very clear from my explanation, my understanding, my comprehension is that there is no mystery in the divine nature. Divine nature does everything perfectly. If we are not able to explain the mystery, that means we have not understood the concept very clearly. We do not understand the truth, and that's what mystery. We try to put people into concepts which is very, very difficult to come out with. But I'm of the opinion every question has an answer, every mystery can be demystified, and that's it. And design with which the perfect nature is designed is Divyank, and Divyank is a static core. It is not a fluctuating nature, so hence mystery which cannot be explained in the external world, which is dynamic and fluctuating at different stages. If you have to understand the mystery which is hidden in Vedas, Upanishads, and Indian scriptures all throughout the world, that can be explained only from the core divine mathematics. If it is not explained, then it will be a different story. Now, from that angle, let me explain how to understand impeccable wisdom without any defect of any nature. That's something. Now, let me start with this picture which I did mention in my last video on Kailash, signs of goddess Sati. Why are these skulls of Sati around Lord Shiva? You can see Parvati being carried on the shoulders, and there are heads and face skulls around the neck of Shiva. What does it actually mean? Is it just a mythological story, a history to talk? Are there the great science in it which picture is talking about? Let me tell you one thing very clearly from my life. First 7 years of my life, I was observing nature from my Atmic point of view, from perfection point of view, and all these things I had seen as a child. At that particular juncture, it did not make much of difference to me. I did not understand because nobody talked about it. But as I've grown in spiritual evolution through knowledge, perfect divine mathematics, which is Devank, perfect physics, chemistry, which I have been analyzing since my childhood, perfect medical science, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, psychology with Devank. And as I moved toward Devank from 2015, after 2015, things have taken a different turn, including the last 5 digits of Shivank itself. Not, but I'm trying to tell you things before I recognize Divyank as such. And now, in the light of Divyank, I understand. So, this is one mystery which I'm sure everybody must be knowing, why Shiva has heads and faces of so many dead bodies around his neck. Now, let's start with the legend of Sati Savitri. According to the legends, Sati left the luxuries of her father, who was a Daksh king of maybe Jammu and Kashmir, you can call it, and retired to a forest to devote herself to the austerities of a hermetic life because Shiva is known to live very simple life the way things are. And people who want to be in tune with the universal consciousness and want to understand divinity as such, Nirakar-Nirgun-Brahman or Sakar-Sargun-Brahman, those people are very, very simple. But they are perfect in everything. They live a very hermetic life or ashram life and perfection to the core from everything. But let me make one thing very clear at this particular juncture. Their life was full of wholeness, perfect vegetarian, no smoking, no drinking, nothing at all. Anything which can reduce the sensitivity of the individual, they did not subscribe to. Let me not talk of those people who take non-vegetarian, who take alcohol, take drugs, or different things which are stimulating in one or the other thing. These are the people very simple, taking only what is required and not what is required. Anything which can reduce their sensitivity, sensitive nature, they would not take. And that is the criteria. I'm talking about hermetic life, and that's what is. And she was praying to Lord Shiva to get married to her. This is story to start with. And she was praised by people, and of course, many people tested her. Anyway, let's not get into that. But finally, after lot of persuasion, Lord Shiva agrees to get married to her, and then they get married. And that marriage was contained in Mantalai, which is northeast of Katra. I'm making it very clear. This place is northeast of Katra Trikuta mountain. And this place is close to Pir Panchal mountain range, which separates Kashmir from Jammu region by and large. And then Kashmir Valley is next. So difference between Kashmir Valley, Kashmir one side and Jammu on one side is Pir Panchal and Shivalik Lake. And I've already talked about Shivalik range in Mata Vaishno Devi's. That's now come to this is the particular temple which is there in Mantarai. You can see the pond in front of that. And this is the home kund of marriage in which Shiva and Parvati got married long, long back. But it has become a pond because it's full of water, purified, whatever it is. And that's it. This is the temple where Lord Shiva and Parvati got married. And this is where Parvati was born as a Sati, kings. And now, let me tell you another story of legend of Saraswati. According to Bhagavad Puran, King Daksha arranged for a self-choice ceremony, Swambar, of his daughter Sati, where all except Shiva were invited. Shiva was never considered favorite of kings at all because king left a life like luxurious, beautiful, handsome. Their focus was on physical body, looks and otherwise. Where Shiva believes in higher consciousness, not in the looks alone. So that's why you see the difference from the external looks to the internal looks, where Shiva moves on very clearly. But he was not invited for the marriage, a particular function of daughter itself. But Sati did not find Shiva, so she threw a garland in the air to choose her husband. Shiva manifested there and fell it on him, thus they got married. Because choice in India was Swamvar. Females have the choice to choose the husband they wanted. They were all, that's the reason I'm very fond of something called Paro. Paro means a person who can run bare feet towards Shiv only, not anybody else. And that is the only person who is Sati, Savitri, and of course Parvati by and large. That is the concept which I explained. Her is only Shiv, Shiv and Shiv, not anybody else. And that can be Sati, that is Parvati, and that is Savitri. Let's make that very clear. So they got married. But later, the father conducted one yajna for higher functions, and he did not invite Lord Shiva at all. When the daughter did not find, she got angry and burnt herself in the fire which was there for yajna itself. And as a result, she became Sati, means sacrificed. She gave her life because she was not happy that her husband, who's such a great scholar, great innovator, great in everything, with which only things can be completed. Lord Shiva is of dissolution and regeneration. All the qualities of creation, development, and resolution are there in Lord Shiva itself. Brahma represents the first stage of creation. Vishnu, 10th stage of development. Lord Shiva has both creation and development because that's what it is all about. He completes it, he starts it, goes through the process, and that is two stages we're going to see in this book. And that is the Sati story. Now, now you know the background. This is a picture because she jumped into the pond, right? And he carried that, and that is also one of the reason she is not as such able to get to Kailash at all. Kailash is only for Shiva as such. But let me make one statement very clear. I made a picture of 1992, Shiv and Shakti as such. When Shiv and Shakti become one, and that is what Parvati is all about, and Sati is all about. When they are together, they are one, not as separate. So she is able to go there after being complete in herself, not having any anger, anxiety, neurosis, or any issue at all. You have to go beyond the attachment to sannyas, virag, and tyag. That was missing in Parvati before, but after that incident and rebirth, she's gained that. That is a big spiritual science message for everyone who wants to reach the divinity to the core. To reach Divyank, you got to be totally detached. Tyagi, Vairagi, Sannyasi. You should think truth as it is, being non-violent, non-obsessed, see the world with the open eyes, not be influenced, but see everything as it is. You reach that level of perfection, impeccable wisdom, only then you can become Lord Shiva. That's the reason Lord Shiva lives in Kailash along with the Parvati, both as together. So there nobody can go because they reach the fifth level of Nirakar-Nirgun-Brahman, that is iodine, Neelkant, and is like Xenon. I have already explained. So keeping that they are there, to reach that level, she had to take birth again in Mantalai and then go to Amarnath to understand the concept. And this is that concept which makes her perfect, and both of them become two in one as such. Nar, Nari are Shakta and Shakti, are Shiv and Shakti concept is the result of going to Amarnath. Now, with that background, let's move on to the next stage. Now, I'm going to explain because in India, Akhand Bharat makes it very clear. The symbolic language is most important. Devi Devta's pictures are the one which we understand. And I do know from my experience, nature's best way of representation is always symbolic. So now Shiva's, those skulls, head and faces around the neck, is there is science in that? Or it is just something which is insignificant? But I know Lord Shiva is also connected with cremation. And in cremation, one thing which is which is destroyed the lost in fire, Agni, is head and face bones only. Effort has to be made to break them even during the process. Now, let's see the science of head and face. Now you see the picture on top is 8 cranial bones. Skull has 8 bones. You can see frontal is one, sphenoid is one, ethmoid is one, occipital is one, temporal is two, parietal. There are 8 bones in the head which are fixed together with sutures. And that is what I meant. And second picture is of the face. There are 14 bones. Nasal 2, lacrimal 2, palatine 2, inferior caca, zygomatic, maxilla, vomer, and one last bone at the bottom, which is violet color, is mandible. Now there are 22 bones. But what is so special in this, which is associated with Brahman, the Lord of creation, which I talked in the beginning? 22 by 21 is which going to see. There are 22 bones. Now we see what are these 22 bones are like. Now, there are 8 fixed bones in the head, I think I've already shown. There are 13 of the bones of the 14 are fixed together. That means 8 plus 13 is equivalent to 21. But do you see any divine mathematics in 8 by 13? If you go back to my number of Divyang sequence, it is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and then 13. 8 and 13 is follow the same formula which is there in Divyang sequence. Is it surprising? No. But that's how the nature works. And that's the reason Divyang only explains things as they are. That one bone which is not fixed, which gives you the expression to talk yourself out. The expression is required, and that expression is given by the mandible bone, tongue, to express ourselves out. So 21 is a fixed one, mandible is unfixed bone, and then there are 22 bones. Now you can see beautifully 8 and 13 is the Divyang sequence, 1 is added which is further, and 22 wins. It is a coincidence? No, I am not talking about it. It is the world science knows about it. So impeccable will is again, these bones are required to sustain the human brain, which is the most evolved brain in the entire world. Even the bones to fix a sport or protect the most evolved brain in the entire world, the human brain, is following ratio of 22 by 21 creation. Now, human brain is the only one who can be in tune with universal consciousness. And I've also shown only the human brain can read the past, present, and future as such. Even Devi Devtas cannot read by themselves unless until they take in human form, be in a human body to understand Brahma first, then Vishnu, then Shiva, then Saraswati, Lakshmi, Parvati, and Gayatri. All the gods and goddesses can be seen only in the human body, and that is what Ved is talking about, and that is what Upanishads are talking about. Now let's take this mathematics to the next stage, which is very, very important. Now this is the brain, which I make it very, very clear. All the neuroscientists of the world do not even know what are the prime functions of the 3 outer layers of neocortex at all. When they don't even know the anatomy structure as such, but they don't know the function, then how can you be a neuroscientist of the world when you don't even know the functions of 3 outer layers? And this is what I've gone on to say. They are an antenna to Akash Kosh, where the wisdom is stored even today. And there's only one person called Shibhushan Sharma who has demonstrated that his outer 3 layers are connected with the rest of the brain, and he is able to produce 8 hertz frequency throughout the brain with eyes open, which no one in the world has ever done. As a result, he is able to give Devank as it is because he is truly in tune with universal consciousness. That is what integrated human being I'm talking about. Now come to the question of new incarnation of Sati. As I told you in earlier life, Sati Savitri had jumped to the home kund in Mantalai, situated in Chennai, Chennai, Tehsil of Udhampur, Jammu and Kashmir, Akhand Bharat, Akhand Sindhu Bharat. Goddess Sati Savitri was born and brought up there again because it is a law of nature, reincarnation. You come back to the same spot when you had taken birth into, and death, and then move on to the conducive atmosphere to go. And then she again had a spiritual bond with Shiva and they got married there again. Earlier, she died. This time, no death. She got married and done. As per the legend, Mantalai was used as a home kund where the holy fire is said to alight during Hindu marriages. This marriage again took place in Mantalai alone, where she had sacrificed her life as a Sati Parvati. So she has taken birth again there only. Now this is a picture which artists of India have spoken about that particular marriage. Is very popular. I've been seeing this ever since my young days. And that is the fire which is being burnt and the marriage. And to the king is Daksh, his wife, then Parvati, Shiva, Nar, and the priest who's doing, I do believe it is Agastya. He is performing the ritual. He is a highly enlightened person and he knows all the art, and homam is done by him. So I'm bringing a new elegant of Agastya, sage Agastya. Right on top you can see Brahma, you can see Vishnu, and of course you can see Indra. So that's a beautiful combination of Akhand Bharat's ancient Sanatan Dharma's rituals of marriage as such and all the Purohit work. So next one to move to the next stage. Now, I'm going to tell you a fact which I was told when I was in Mata Vaishno Devi during second phase, and it's a part of my book on Mata Vaishno Devi. When I talked about it last time about Mata Vaishno Devi, it is a part of the book, and this was also the part of that book about Suddha Mahadev. There I typed Suddha Mahadev, and of course Mahantalai. During the marriage of Lord Shiva and Parvati, Mother Earth was tilted towards north. Now I'm making a statement. At that particular stage, Earth got tilted towards north, and today we have it south. Why was it tilted towards north at that particular stage from equator and today to the south? I'm going to explain. Since all the gods and goddesses of the entire world had come for the marriage and that particular place, and that place is more or less north of equator, so more pressure on that, everything got tilted towards north. That's it. At that stage, when it was tilting towards north, more and more power, more and more rise, more and more divinity coming there. That's the time Lord Shiva asked, he says, Agastya, you go towards south and maintain the balance so that things can. So that is the time when Agastya came down to south. But after marriage ceremonies were over, gods left Mantalai after celebration, and Mother Earth got tilted towards south instead of north, now tilted south. And that is the picture which you're going to see. But unfortunately, today it is still south only because says Agastya stayed back in South Bharat only. He did not go to north again. Uttar Bharat he did not go. Dakshin Bharat he stayed. And this picture you can see very clearly the tilt towards south. And this is a picture of Agastya, and he learnt and mastered all the foundation techniques of Tantra from Lord Shiva when he was in north. When he came back to south, he converted that Tantra knowledge into Tamil Siddha Vedya, and that is what Agastya's biggest contribution is. But Agastya's mention is many things. He's a Tamil to consider Agastya the father of the Tamil language. And now this is not mine, it's written. That means Tamil was developed by Lord Agastya in a very classified way, and he stays there. He's considered. He's also Siddhar, fully active, physician, know everything to be perfect within himself. So he is a person, if you want to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy, if you understand Ayurvedic in North, Siddha Vaidyam is something in South where you talk about the gross and subtle aspects of human anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry completely to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy. And those are the Siddhars. And Siddhars are the ones who are in tune with universal consciousness. Now I'm making it very clear. Perfect who follows Siddha Vedium as such, pure as Agastya had given, pure vegetarian, no drinking, no smoking, no nothing, only thinking herbs as such. And with the herbs which are natural as a vegetarian thing, all they are herbs and they're the best food by and large. And I follow that. Even at 73 plus, my physiology is as good as when I was 21 years. I have used the knowledge of Ayurveda or Siddha Vedium with Agastya talked about it, or spiritual science has spoken about. And mention of Buddha, Agastya is another text also because he was well learned in the beginning itself, even when Buddha was there, he was there. And so is Saraswati Stotam and Lakshmi Stotam, all the combinations. He only talked about it. Saraswati he knew very well, Lakshmi he knew very well, Parvati he knew very well. He knew everything in totality. That is what I'm talking about. This picture from internet. Now I have an intuitive question. Goddess Pati wanted to learn and master arts of science and immortality from Lord Shiva to avoid chances of becoming Sati again in future. Now, this is the last stage when Shiva said, okay, now you got married, don't worry about anything, you come with me from Mantalai to a place in north, and then I will teach you what this journey of purification to reach the universal consciousness so that you and me become one. No more differences between two of us. And then we reach the immortal Kailash Parvat thereafter. That is the intuitive impression I have. And now let me explain whether it makes sense or not sense. Now, from Mantalai to Amarnath Yatra, and that is the center of Tantra Vidya as I know. And original Tantra Vidya, to the best of my knowledge, is made of 108 sutras or shlokas. Now, this is a picture, and I'm writing it Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh as a state. Let me make one thing very clear. People are called Jammu and Kashmir, but they forget about Ladakh. I'm a born and brought up Dogra from Jammu, and I know that Dogra Hindu kings ruled whole on Jammu and Kashmir. There are ancient mention of Ladakh also. The old coins of Jammu and Kashmir had Ladakh also written along with that. Why the Ladakh was removed from that, I do not really understand. So I'm making it clear it is Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh as a state which was Hindu consciousness and ruled by Hindu kings of Jammu Dogra kingdom by and large. Let's restrict myself to that knowledge, and this is a picture of internet as such of Jammu and Kashmir along with the Ladakh three. All the thing. Right at the bottom is Jammu, in the middle is Kashmir, right on the big portion on top is Ladakh. That's it. And Sindhu River is in Ladakh. Let that also be very clear. Now, from Manthalai, we can go to Pahalgam. Now you can see right at the bottom, Jammu I have written, then Udhampur is there, there is Katra, there is Trikuta. Right after these four places, I have written a place called Mantalai, which is very close to Patnita, but little below that. There is a place called Chenani. Chenani is the Tahsil and Mantalai is the place where they were born. From there, they move on to Amarnath, which is very close to Pahalgam, right at the top. Left side, you can see Srinagar, Kashmir Valley. You can see Pahalgam. On top of Pahalgam, I have written Amarnath. That's the location where Amarnath cave is located. And journey from Mantalai to Amarnath is through the hill mountain of Pir Panchal as such is what I'm talking about. They moved from here right up to Pahalgam, the first garden, and then how they move on to Amarnath. I'm going to explain that step by step about the journey of Amarnath Yatra as such. Now, first is Pahalgam means it's the first garden, it's the first village. On the journey to Amarnath from Manthalai to Pahalgam is done through those mountains over Pir Panchal and done with it. Then I have visited this place I've lived there during my childhood, during the first 7 years, during summer as such. So, art of mastering the art and things of Amarnath's wisdom, I knew because I stayed in the land of Kashmir Valley, which belongs to Lord Shiva completely. It is the center of, you can say, Shiva consciousness. Kashmir Shaivism is an important part of that particular land. Now you see that this particular picture is the Pahalgam and the gardens. I'm talking about the journey. Start Pahalgam right at the bottom, you can see, and then you can see the journey to Chandan Mori. When I talk of Chandan Mori, I'm talking about moon. Now, Lord Shiva made it very clear to Parvati. Now we have to leave all those external things which are outside so that we reach the Atmic level by and large. Then one of the most important things which is associated with Shiva and Parvati is moon. So left the moon in Chandanbari first place. Then second thing, that snakes are there, and that was left in Nagakoti. You can see in that particular picture, Pahalgam to Chandanmori to Josibal to Nagakoti. Then they went to Sheshnag, which a major snake is there. Or even that snake is left in Sheshnag. You can see that picture very clearly. And then go to Mahagun. The place right on the Mahagun is the one where all the good qualities, all the three, Tamasic, Rajasic, and Sattvic, they had to drop it there because these are also external things, external to the body, not to the Atmic consciousness. Then they go to the next stage, which is Panchtami. That means even the Panchbhutas, all the five elements, Bhumi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, and Akash, even those things they left it there. And then they went to a place called Sangam, where the union of two ways to reach Amarnath. It's called Sangam because one is from one higher land, one is from Pahalgam. Either one you can take. From then they go to Amarnath and then snow statues you can see. Now this is the route of holy Amarnath from Pahalgam to Amarnath. And you can follow from Batalai also to this particular thing, but this is much more tedious. This is much more used, and this was the route which was used by Lord Shiva and Parvati to go to Amarnath. Now the question, I visited that place in 1957, and Lord Shiva had revealed everything about Tantra, meant physical body, gross and subtle aspect to Parvati there, and talked about evolution from lowest level, involution to revolution to evolution to enlightenment to empowerment was spoken by Shiva to Parvati so that she becomes immortal by and large in Amarnath cave. And I know since I had visited that as a child, the grains of Tantra Vidya, 108 things were grained into my brain. And that has helped me also to experience the beauty of both gross and inner physical anatomy, physiology, and psychology as such, which I am talking through Devyank and all my work. Yes. And I have given the picture snow shivling, and also design is like Trivik. That's what Satchakra Nirupana talks about it. That is a pie structure. 22 by 7 is what is written there. That is a shivling as such. Right. Now I am showing another picture. You can see there are two immortal pigeons in Amarnath. Is it a Divine story? Or there is only a story? And I think reason of giving about pigeons is much more versatile than talking of hens. But let me tell you one thing very clearly. Both reptiles, amphibians, reptiles, and birds hatch in 21 days. I'm making it very clear. In 21 days. And let me tell you, many people do believe that watching movies is waste of time for students. As a student in my school and college, watching Hindi movies, by and large, observing the science is there. And the first time as a child when I heard about 21 days is a movie called Amar, where Nimi is talking about hen and saying, you have been sitting in that for 21 days. Why? That is a lesson which gave it to me 21. This rule of 21 days. And that rule I have told about head and face bones also. But that is what in the bird. Now, since it is pigeon, not the hen, but I still use the hen as a perstyle because you see much more clearly with that rather than you see in pigeon. Because that has been regularly done by majority of the people with full concentration control, where pigeons are not the one which are there for universal consciousness as it is. Let's say that is a picture. Now let's move on to understand. Now the first thing which is important for hatching, let me put it, that bird after laying the leg immediately sits over the egg to keep it warm to 37 body temperature is giving. But let me tell you one thing very clearly. Pigeon body temperature is more than hen, and that's it. And I know as a child because somebody had recommended that as a treatment for my father when he had suffered from stroke. And when I asked why, he said the body temperature of pigeon is much more than others. It can liquefy the clots inside the brain and make it functional. Now this is what applied I'm talking about. That questioning and learning by asking question has been my domain ever since my childhood, and I'm talking about when I was hardly 13 years old. I could ask question and observe and understand and make sense. So first thing which hatching does is that body temperature 37 degrees is maintained, and that is the most important part. 37 to 38 degrees will keep it warm to keep it flowing by and large. And second thing is, all these hens are this, as they are hatching, they go on putting water on that because they know too much of heat would dry it up. So hydration is absolutely essential for growth. And that's it. And water has got a power of 10. 2 hydrogen, 8 of these are 10 protons by and large, and 10 electron this. So water's first temperature, hatching, then putting water to maintain the fluid part of it, not getting dry and dark, because growth cannot take place without water. Water plays important role. That's why I always call it immortal. That's the second part. Third thing, they keep on turning the eggs over and over. There may be many reasons, but could be to see whether they're alive. Are the things are turning out well? Or the water is getting mixed and things are done by and large? I can totally understand. This is a third process which is very common with all these birds. And why birds use there? Because the two birds were there when Lord Shiva had entered. But when he started talking about these birds left, but the legs were left behind in that place which were not seen. And those legs in the heat of this temperature got grown into two immortal things. That is what I'm talking about. Now, at 44 hours after the whole hatching starts, the heart is formed and chick starts beating at 44 hours. It's again double of 22 itself. And I'm taking it from that and nothing other than that. And this is what shape of chick I'm talking about. By 21 days is ready to deliver. You can see this is not my picture from internet. You can see the computer. What when it is late, what happens after 16 days, or what happens after 10 days, and what happened 21 days is talked about it. Then this is a particular stage. On the 14th day, chicks are ready for breathing. And this is something beautiful which I would like to talk about is I3 Upanishad talks about cosmic Purusha, has beautifully described three stages of gestation itself. First 3 months or 11 weeks, second 11 weeks, and third 11 weeks after fertilization are beautifully described, and that is something which you see here. First 7 days over, then second 7 days, chick is ready. So literally as in a human being, after 22 weeks, the chick is ready for delivery anytime. And same thing here, it starts breathing in. And starts breathing in because water has been allowed. This egg, and water can go into the egg and go inside, and water can produce oxygen. See the science, they knew it. And that is what I'm also answering those things which people haven't thought about it. They're given a statement, but not explained. So that is what 14 days it can start breathing, and the oxygen they're getting inside that is from the water itself. Now I'll show you this particular picture of photosynthesis because here you can see water is converted into oxygen in light reaction in the left side green part, whereas carbon dioxide is into sugar. So this was just to point that polar water can be converted into oxygen effortlessly for the chick to start breathing inside the egg itself after 14 days. And that means it's alive. But next 14 days is going to come to a stage when it develops the teeth to break it and come out. At that particular stage, even the bird helps it to find it. With the chick also. Now you're going to see that. Now this is a chick's thing which is there just to break the egg. It is a beautifully designed. And after it is broken, they come out. This falls down like your deciduous teeth itself. Now you think, since I'm talking about deciduous teeth, I'm making it clear. Deciduous teeth are 20 in number in human beings and permanent 32. So 32 by 22 is also in Deviant ratio only. Same thing over here. That is the uniformity which I am talking about. The world should have that knowledge which is perfect from 1 to 10. Now, different things I can talk in the videos because I remember them as a part of my learning. Now comes to the question of water. Why water is a polar water? How it is formed, you can see it down. And they are connected with electrons only. And there are 10 electrons, 10 protons and neutrons, and they're beautiful. As a result, the surface it contains, surface tension it creates, even spider can walk on that. As to how beautiful it is. And it is a power of 10 stages, and 10 stages you are seeing in the development of this because of water itself. So this is where science and spirituality come together to show how beautiful is nature, how it's following the stages of 22 by 21 to the power of 10, right up to this is there in my book Akhand, An Essence of Universal Consciousness, published in 2002 itself. Now there are 10 stages in the water element. Let me tell you one thing. Each state, there are 5 stages, each state has a gross and subtle both. Now, what are the 5 stages or 10 stages by and large? The topmost is heat is Akash Bhuta, quintessent plasmatic state. When nature created water in the universe at 1600 degrees centigrade. Then second, when cooled down, it comes to Vayu, hydrogen and oxygen separate. In plasmatic state, quintessence is only energy. From which it comes, nobody knows. But I know it's a primarily come from hydrogen and oxygen itself. Or say methane plus oxygen or carbon dioxide. This is a nature thing. Then third in the line is Agni Bhuta, which has a scalding heat which is burning. This is again not fire as such. It's a heat which is Agni. That's what Agni is most important god in Rigved itself. Now Apabhuta is the something which liquefies, cool down to become water, flowing water. And the percentage of water on earth, human body and the cell is 61.8034%. And Prithvi is a solid ice form, which you're going to see in that is 38.1966. So that is a combination. And both have both. As a result, there are 10 stages of water which see the 10 stages of development as such. For development stages, in developing the fetus, whether it's bird, reptile, mammalian, tortoise, amphibian, whatever it is, where from the egg you have that particular thing into 10 stages. Now you know 22 by 21 to the power of 10 is there right up to this. Now come to the next stage. What is the existence of 22 by 27 levels of consciousness which Lord Shiva is telling Goddess Parvati in Amarnath? Now let's discuss that. Why did he take her to Amarnath in that particular cave, sit and explain the concept of evolution of human body to the highest universal consciousness step by step, so everybody becomes immortal? That is the impeccable wisdom. I'm going to talk about it. The first stage is how to concentrate from soles of the leg right up to the pelvic bone or the bone structure, which is the end of the spinal cord. From sole to Muladhara chakra are the 7 levels. And that is what represent earth element by and large. Atal Lok to Patal Lok are the 7 stages you can see very, very clearly. So that means your first concentration is in earth element. 7 stages earth element is the first thing he talked about it. Unless until you understand the mother earth completely, it's 7 levels, you cannot move to the next level. First 7 days, he talked about only the movement from Atal to Patal or Patal to Atal, whichever way. But I think Patal to Atal will be better because Atal is a surface of the earth, whereas Patal is right at the bottom inside, the yellow portion, right inner core. That's one. So first 7 days, 7 things of earth element were explained step by step, given experience to her how to move from soul consciousness right up to Muladhara chakra in the pelvis as such. That was first lesson of Tantra Vidya, which Shiva gave it to Parvati as an experience. And that is what was learned, heard by those two eggs being there again. That's one part. Next stage was 14 chakras. That means Earth 7 chakras, atmosphere 7 chakras. That is dynamic consciousness. And this is where I'm showing the picture of goddess Durga has got Agni of 14 elements. That means first 7 is only Bhumi. When you go to Durga, you come to the 14th stage of Agni element, right up to that. This is literally an Agni element. Earth and water are in the first 7 stages. There it becomes Agni by and large. That is atmosphere, which has the oxygen and carbon dioxide and water all there in that form. That was the second stage. Four 14 chakras, 7 of Patal to Atal, and then 7 of 7 chakras, the human body, which Tantra talks about it. Tantra makes it very clear that there are 7 chakras in the human body, which are external. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about internal eyes. Because it's an external thing, both have to become one. And that is Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Nabhi, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Ajna, and Sahasrara chakra. And they are associated with 7 lokas. I'm going to show that when I go to the next 7th stage are 22 stages. Now come to this particular picture. I have seen on the left side, earth element is currently associated with the leg part. Then Antriksh is associated from Muladhara to Sahasrara chakra within the body. That means human body by and large is made of only 2 components. That means 3 components to two together. Earth, water and Agni alone. Right at the right side you can see Patal Lok, Mahatal, Rasatal Lok, Talatal Lok, Sutal Lok, Vital Lok and Atal Lok, the 7th thing, earth element. Then you have 7 chakras, Muladhara, Swadhisthana, or Nabhi or Manipura you call it, Anhata, Vishuddhi, Ajna and this. Now next you talk about 7 heavens. That means if you go to Gayatri Mantra and you find Vyatis, there are 7. One is Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, Maha, Jana, Tapa or Satyam. There are 7 levels in Maha Gayatri Mantra. You talk about it. Om Bhur, Om Bhuva, Om Sava, Om Maha, Om Jana, Om Tapa, Om Satyam. That is the Gayatri Mantra which is spoken about to make them to come to 21 levels. That means solar system is also made of 21. 7 of earth, 7 of antriksh, 7 of heavens. There are 21 parts, and that is what Upanishads also talk about it. They talk about a cycle. The solar system can be measured with 21 steps. To go beyond to 22 level is a 22 step has to be taken. And now from that, that is Brahmalok, that means first creation, that's the Earth cloud outer the solar system. Now you understand, all this information was given by Lord Shiva to Goddess Parvati in Amarnath. And listening to that, this level alone of 22 by 21, even the pigeons got immortal. She got immortal. Now she doesn't have to go through the process because all the external processes which are there to make the people fall down have been eliminated. That is Akhand Yoga all about. That is the Tantra Vidya which is all about 108 shlokas by and large. Now I think you can understand the beauty of Gayatri Mantra, beauty of 22 by 21 as such. Now let's move on to the next stage. Now, to show that living cell itself also is made of 21 to 22 parts. Cell membrane is made of 7 parts, cytoplasm is made of 7 organelles, nucleus is made 7 parts, and there is centrosome which gets converted into 2 centrioles, and that becomes 22. That is a living cell which creates new life. So this is also to prove that Brahma Ank has got this and also this particular part. And second thing, Om, which I made in 1974, it designed very different from what you see. But this is what Mandukya Upanishads representation of waking consciousness, dream sleep consciousness, deep sleep, and Turiya as such, and also perfect symbol of 22 by 7 of pi, which is important mathematical design. And I have done that 50 years ago when I was not into spirituality at all. I was just a student, but intuitively I made that design 50 years ago. And this is the same thing. I had no idea in spiritual science at all. I was concentrating only on spiritual. That shows that when you are in tune with universal consciousness will repeat things as you move on. Now, Spandan Krika, the spiral, the theory of Jammu and Kashmir is this particular is very important. But I can tell you there are 3 things. Pingala, Sushma, and Ira Nagli, you can see in that form. I'm not going to detail, but this is something also connected with Amarnath, and that is the base of Kashmir Shaivism of Spandan Krika, the spiral theory, and how snake is going around. This is a picture from Jammu and Kashmir as such are Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, which is the Dogra land, are Kashmir Shaivism, of Akhand Bharat spirituality at the core Shiva level over there as such. Now, Adi Shankaracharya from Kerala moved on to Himalayas and particularly Kashmir and Shaivism and wrote about Sandhurya Lari after visiting Amarnath only. But he could write Saundarya Library with 53 shlokas of Tantra which Lord Shiva had. In the remaining 55, that pleasure of essence of that was left to me to give the world 108. I think I've gone to the stage beyond Saundarya Lari. But Saundarya Lari so many years ago, which is responsible for Advaita philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya, had spoken it long, long ago in Kashmir alone. And that is what I'm talking about. Now, you can see in Kashmir, the temple of Adi Shankaracharya is very well in Srinagar itself. But learning all these aspects, one thing made me realize Patanjali shows the Ashtang Yoga. The real yoga is Ashtang Yoga, Akhand Yoga to Dasang Yoga. There are 10 stages of integrated consciousness, which I learnt as I moved on my research from initiates to simplified Kundalini Yoga to what it is as on today. And that was 1st January 1991. I was initiated into simplified Kundalini Yoga when I became aware of Kundalini chakras, nadis within my body for the first time on 1st January 1991. And after learning different meditation, other thing, in 92, I designed this picture of Shiv and Shakti, or Shakta and Shakti. This is a picture going to be a part of my next video on Akash Ganga descent. But in this, Divya ratio of male and female was known, both completion within ourselves, and this was the end result of Shiv and Shakti in Kashmir becoming together, and in that form, Shiv and Shakti together move as one, as Nar Nari, or Shakta and Shakti, or Shiv and Shakti, to Kailash to live there in isolation, to move on to the higher chakras. And they realize all the five Atmas: helium as Aditi, Gayatri, neon, then Argan and Adi Prashakti, Sakar-Sargun-Brahman as Krypton, and Nirakar-Nirgun-Brahman. That's why Shiv and Shakti over there. We went right up to the fifth stage of Xenon. That means iodine was also converted into 54 as on. I've already explained that. Now you see how the links are done very well. Now it's come to the question. I'm not going to detail. What are information of a sense of dialogue with Shiva with Parvati in Amarnath is well presented in this particular picture. Let me not go into that. I think it's more than enough for this particular thing. Good. So thank you very much for listening. I think now building up the impeccable wisdom step by step, and particular the three states, Kailash to Mata Vaishno Trikuta to this. And the next one is going to be a descent of Akhand Gayatri or Akash Ganga on the earth to explain things much more concept, where Gangotri, Ganga, and other things come into the picture. And of course, Sindhu will also come, and you will see a different picture of evolution thereafter. So, thank you very much.